And I've got an absolute special guest on the phone, and I'm so happy to have him here because I've known this gentleman for a few years after having a few of the albums that he's released. I have Louis Prima Jr. on the phone. How are you, Louis?
Dave, I'm doing fantastic this morning. How about you?
Yeah, really, really good, thank you. How's things been for yourself? Have you been keeping yourself busy?
We are finally getting back to work. As you know, the entertainment business has been kind of a mess for a couple of years, thanks to what's going on. And we're fortunate to be able to have gotten back on the road this past July. Sporadically, we had a pretty decent winter, and we normally don't tour during the winter, but I'm taking what I can get right now, and we're looking forward to continuing it through the summer and on into next year, hoping to get things back to normal and get back into our regular groove. But yeah, we're not as busy as I like to be, but we're working and we're playing music for people, and that's all I care about.
Well, the thing is, if people don't know who you are the son of Louis Prima, who played King Louis on Disney's The Jungle Book.
Yes, sir.
And lots of singles and albums, and also, like, you can Google your dad all day, as well as Googling yourself, to be honest. There's so many things out there. It's unreal.
Yeah, my father had a recorded for 50 years, started in the 30s, and every time music styles changed, he changed with it and maintained relevancy for 50 years, performing and recording. I think he recorded 120 different albums throughout his career, hit after hit after hit. The first song put in the Grammy Music Hall of Fame, I'm talking about Sing, 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 the big band standard that Benny Goodman made famous. And of course, the swing revival with Jump, Jive, and Wail, and rock and roll with Just a Gigolo. The list just kind of goes on and on and on. And, I'm fortunate and thankful that I'm able to not just carry on his tradition, but expand on it and create new and bring it into the future.
Well, the thing is, I got to be honest, your dad's version of Pennies from Heaven is one of the ones that I will listen to until the day I die. It's an amazing version.
Well, then we got a prize coming up on this next album, so shh.
Oh, right then. Oh, well. Well, the thing is, that's the thing. Your dad's done so many. I've got two of yours that I've been playing since they've come out. So I've got the Return to the Wildest and Blow.
Yep.
And they are amazing. I love what you guys do. So it's yourself and the band, your band, The Witnesses. You're the band leader, and live music looks like it is fun for you guys.
We really do have a blast. It's, when I set out to do this band, I did rock and roll for many, many, many years, and, worked day jobs while I raised my two sons, and getting back into music and switching focus on what I wanted to do. It was important for me to not be a tribute act. I wanted to pay tribute, but create new. And part of that was to find like-minded musicians that enjoyed being on stage and knew how to perform. Anybody can play notes off of a piece of paper and they can do it well. Some can do it better than all of us. But to be able to perform at the same time and create an energy and an atmosphere that makes the crowd want to get up and dance, that is special. And I looked long and hard for all the people I've shared a stage with. We truly do enjoy each other's company and what we do. And it's unorganized mayhem. I don't work with set lists. The band doesn't know what, we know what we're going to start with. We know what we're going to finish with, and what happens in between's up to the crowd and what they want to hear. And it's just it's a bundle of fun, and you really have to see it to experience it. I wish I could sit in the crowd one day, because you try, but videos don't do it justice.
I've got to be honest, looking at the videos, it looks like the audience don't stop. They're always on the go. You do, the energy looks like it is massive when you're on stage. And I say, the band yourself, you give it everything.
We do. And like I said, I'm fortunate to have the greatest musicians and performers up there with me that know and love the music, help create the music and the atmosphere, and are all part of the show. Everybody gets a chance to be, it's not just, if it was me up there, I could just go find an organ grinder and I'll put on a little monkey hat and dance around. I want guys that are part of the band, and we do have fun, and we do enjoy making people smile and making people laugh, and we enjoy the mistakes that we make. And it's it's energy start to finish. We don't take a lot of breaks. I'm not talking for half the show. There's some stories that I'll tell, but it's mostly music and, get up and dance like you're in your backyard with your best friends. That's what I want it to be like.
Well, you say that. What I want to do is I want to try and split the interview a little bit because I want to play a couple of your tracks throughout this interview.
That's fine.
And if you wouldn't mind, if I go over and play Goody Two Shoes?
Yeah.
Right then. So this is Louis Prima Jr. and the Witnesses with Goody Two Shoes, and we'll be back with Louis straight after this track. That Louis, that was absolutely amazing. I love that track. It made me smile when I first heard it, and I say it's played in the car all the time.
I love that song. Look, it's funny because back when I was doing rock and roll, I guess I really didn't get into new wave and that little movement in the early to mid 80s like a lot of people did. I stuck to rock and roll roots and things. And a friend of mine took me to go see Adam Ant, and I was like, all right, this is fun, and Goody Two Shoes is an Adam Ant tune. And when we went to go put an album out, it was, do we do a cover? Do we cover something? What do you want to do? And I said, look, I've been dying to do this song because I think this song swings better than anything that's come out for 20, 30 years. I really, you put a good Prima shuffle back behind there and do what we can do with horns and stuff instead of synthesizers. And it took on new life, and we really enjoyed it. I love playing it. I love playing it because as we start it, people in the crowd, you can see them start to go, why I know this. And when we get into it and they all kind of realize what I'm doing, it's a fun time. And we, with a lot of songs during the show randomly, it's pick a great song from the past and do it like I would want to do it. And people dig it, man. People love entertainment and music. It's, you just have to do it like you mean it.
No one's doing that these days, what you're doing on that stage, which is so refreshing to see and hear, because it still captivates the audience from the moment you get on stage to the time you finish.
I do appreciate that, because I've been saying it for a long time that the death of music, so to speak, and entertainment. I mean, there's a reason why pop stars are big right now, and it's because they can afford the big giant light show, and they can afford 30 dancers on stage with them, because they really have nothing else. I mean, my opinion on what the music is that they're putting out there is my opinion, but there's no entertainment value without the dancers and the giant light show and the stage props. It's a special kind of person that can get up there and do it. You go see like Earth, Wind and Fire, and they are wailing and jumping around from start to finish. You go see AC/DC, they were wailing and jumping around from start to finish and playing the music well. And it is a lost art. There aren't a lot of musical acts that do that. I was so giddy to see John Baptiste win, Album of the Year on the Grammys this year, a little New Orleans native, and just, what he did on the program is what he does live on stage. It's entertainment. It's real musicians. It's people dancing and having a good time. And it is a lost art. And when I saw him winning all the awards, I went, you know what? Maybe it's coming back around. Maybe we're going to get back into entertainment and music again, and that that would make me happy.
Well, I think Meatloaf said it, bless his soul, about 15 years ago, when all the pop bands were coming through and they were miming on stage, and Britney Spears was miming and all that sort of stuff. He said, "If you want to come and see my show, spend the money on the ticket. If not, go outside and buy the CD." And that's the equivalent of going and seeing a pop act.
Exactly. It really was. And it started in the 80s. You can go buy an album and look at the album cover. That's what you're getting. That's not what I like. I enjoy people that want to entertain me. Look, the crowd's not there for me. I'm there for the crowd. We're there for the crowd. We're there to entertain you. People forgot that. But people that follow us and our crowd and our ever-growing following, and the guys in the band and the friends we've made along the way, they know it, they appreciate it, and they love it. I'm so fortunate.
Well, what I want to do is I want to go all the way back to sort of the beginnings, really. Just for the simple reason being, I want to know more about your growing up into where you going and what really drives that music career for you, because I think it's very interesting. So obviously, I didn't know that your dad owned a golf course in Vegas until I started looking into your background.
He had 2 golf courses. He opened up a golf course in New Orleans is bordered by the Mississippi River and by Lake Pontchartrain to the north. Lake Pontchartrain has a 25-mile-long bridge over water, and there's a little community up there that it used to just be Covington. Now it's Covington, Slidell. There's a bunch of cities, but I grew up, part of my childhood was in Covington, and my father back in the 50s opened up a golf course and a little motel unit for his mother, so that she could operate the kitchen and run the hotel, and that golf course stood up until the 90s. Great course. But yeah, he opened up a course in Vegas because he wanted a place for everybody to play, and back in that day, you had to be somebody to get on the courses, and I grew up on a golf course with a club in my hand, man. So
what's it like to grow up in Vegas? Your dad with the golf course, all the stars and celeb, anyone who was anybody who was going to Vegas was coming to the golf course.
I wish I was better at I wish my mom was better at labeling the backs of photographs is what it is. And it was normal to me. It was, you knew you were probably meeting somebody. But, as a kid, you're like, Mom, my parents go to work at 5 o'clock at night. That's the big difference. We eat dinner at 4 and they take a nap and go to work and come home at 4 in the morning. That's the big difference. I didn't see anything even sitting in light booths and being in the crowd was normal to me. And, meeting people, every once in a while I'd see somebody I recognize. Like I met Joe Frazier right after he got beat up by Ali. It was like the next day he was in Vegas, and my father was dragging me around town like he loved to do. And we were, I think, in the Tropicana Hotel in Vegas, and there he was, shiner and swollen face. And I was like, oh my God, I just like fight, whatever it was 2 nights ago. And every once in a while I would meet somebody that I knew who it was. And, looking back now, when I look at some of the pictures, I'm like, oh, wow, I had dinner with Jimmy Durante. I had no idea, it was all just kind of normal, but dad and mom got on stage at night, that was the big difference.
Was it one of those things where you were growing up, obviously you said, you happened to meet these people, but growing up through that, it must give you a different view of these people from their stage persona to what we know, to what the conversations that would go on in the background?
I think it does. I've never been a person who is starstruck. I mean, there's been a couple times that I've met somebody and been, my jaw just kind of froze. Willie Nelson was one where I was just kind of dumbfounded that he randomly sidled up to a bar next to me and ordered a drink. And I looked at them and I was like, Jesus, and you get a little bit starstruck, but most of the time, and I did a stint in the Vegas airport running food and beverage, so I got to meet a lot of people. And back doing rock and roll in and out of LA all the time, you get to meet a lot of people, and I would rather have a conversation with them about life than go, oh my God, you're so and so, can I have your autograph? I have pictures of me and nobody. I've got, but the conversations you have and those brief, 15, 20 minutes of friendship that that this person appreciates. There's I called it the big Snoop Dogg controversy. And it was funny. He was roaming through the airport in Las Vegas and separated from his entourage. And I was a manager out there, and he saw my, my security clearance hanging on my collar, and came up and asked me if there was a smoking lounge anywhere, and you couldn't smoke anywhere. And I go, nope. He goes, what do I got to do? I go, you'd have to walk all the way back out of here. And he goes, I'm not doing that. And I go, well, why don't you let me buy you a drink? And I walked him up to one of my bars and swept my card and got him a drink. And he looks at me to go like, thank you, and saw Louis Prima and went, Louis Prima, like sing, 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 Louis Prima, came out of his mouth. And for the next 20, 30 minutes, we just sat and talked about life and music. And I went my way and he went his way. And I, to what you said, that's what my childhood, I think the childhood does that to you, that this is just normal. These are normal people. And let me bend their ear.
Having these normal conversations is amazing, because you suddenly find that there's more to the person than what's out there in the papers, in the news, on stage. And everyone wants to be spoken to like a human being. And by having that childhood, them stories, people asking questions, you get to see what that person's really like. You
do. And there's a commonality in what we think and feel. And I think that kind of draws us together, where you can sit down and have those, quick conversations about, how you doing and how's the business. And, when you're sitting there and, when you're just having a conversation after a show randomly with somebody, and CeeLo Green said to me, was the show good? Did you like the way it flowed? I mean, should I change anything? I'm like, I'm nobody, but that's how you do, I guess that's how my father dealt with it on that level. And your friends become friends in the industry, and that's just your norm. And that's been my norm.
I think it'd be an interesting cover of Forget You with you in the band. Especially in your style.
Thought about it, trust me. And one of these days I'll throw it out. So when we're doing covers, we try to shy away from wedding music. Yeah. And you're going to go hear at a wedding. So maybe when that falls out of fair with the wedding crowd or the wedding band, that popular song that everybody wants to hear, maybe we'll hit up on it. We tried to do Uptown Funk back when it first came out. at a New Year's Eve thing in Vegas with another band we were playing with. We were supposed to do it together, but they played with tracks and couldn't do it because their track did something weird.
Yeah.
And we just kind of scrapped it. But, I'd always love to do that song, but now it's so super popular. It's like, I'd rather, let's wait and do the obscure ones or wait for it to come back around. But that's a fun song. I love that song. And he is a neat guy. And super entertaining, super talented,
I was surprised when I learned he wrote songs for the Pussycat Dolls before he became famous. I was like, what? Really?
You learn silly things about people. Like, I had no idea Paul Schaefer wrote "It's Raining Men." Did you know?
Yeah.
And that's one of the benefits of having that friendship and talking to people is you learn,
Moving forward in your life after obviously being on the golf courses, I believe you moved to New Orleans, and that's where you've learned to play the piano with your aunt.
Yes, we actually, all of my childhood, we were back and forth New Orleans to Las Vegas quite a bit. I did start, so my mother started me on drums when I was 5. She said, if you look at my social media, there's pictures of me barefoot playing this tiny little drum set when I'm 5 years old. But it was, I believe, the first grade, and I was going to Our Lady of the Holy Rosary here in New Orleans. And, I can't remember the name of the school my aunt taught at, but she was the nun. My father's sister was a nun. She ate the nun food, wore the nun clothes, drove the nun car. She was a wonderful woman and taught me how to play piano.
How did that work with the family, with your dad being, as big as he was and your aunt being a nun, two completely different.
They adored him. They adored him. Look, my mom and dad were on the road for a while, and my sister and I actually lived in a convent for a summer.
Wow.
With my aunt, which is, interesting in of itself. But I can still roam around New Orleans today, and there are lifelong people of the cloth and nuns and things that just adored Louis Prima. And I to his credit, everything he did was fun. Every note he played was fun. Every song he sang was fun. Even the most depressing songs. I mean, Gigolo, it's one of the most depressing songs in the world. It's about a French airman returning from the war and can't get a job, and he's selling dances for, the song Solid. Everything my father did was fun and joyous and that much blue. He worked very much on the cuff, and it was innuendo, and you can give your life to the Lord, but you still enjoy it. They loved him.
With you saying that, I've got to be honest, I've queued up another track for you, which was a cover of Just a Gigolo. If you won't mind me playing it, and then we'll keep going.
Hey, go right ahead.
And I've got to be honest to say, love it. And I love the photo with the trumpet.
I've had some good photo shoots, man. I wish I played the trumpet better.
I've seen you playing on the videos. You look amazing playing that trumpet.
I'm just not as good as I mean, that's a full story. And it's the reason why I got into singing. I don't
to cover up the trumpet playing.
Well, I don't feel I've ever been really good at any of the instruments that I played. I've been through them all. I've tried everything. I didn't pick up the trumpet till 8th grade. Outside of tooting around the house once in a while, I didn't take it serious. But I just kind of felt, guitar, bass, whatever I picked up, I was never going to be the Eddie Van Halen of that instrument. I was never going to be the Louis Prima of that instrument. And there's a lot of reasons why. I've got dyslexia. I'm not a good soloist. I can't, there's a lot of excuses or reasons why. Until I got a microphone in my hand, when I started sitting in with friends' bands back in high school and right out of high school, when I put a microphone in my hand the first time, and I went, wow, I not that I'm a good singer, not that I'm, Pavarotti or anything, but I know that being the front man is what I do. Being that guy is
you bring a charisma to the front of the stage as well, which is...
Well, I can, and I realized I can do that better than anybody. And I say that as modestly as I can, because I will step in front any band or play in front of anybody and know that, you know what, I was damn entertaining and probably more than you. Because that's what I strive to be. And it's so that, the trumpet, I actually, when I put this band together, I wasn't even going to play. And we ended up using a promo picture that they used as a goof. And I'm like, really, that's the picture you chose? Now I got to go remember what a C scale was, It's like...
Well, the thing is with yourself, you sort of, going forward, you sort of learned to play the trumpet, all that sort of stuff. Then you started a band in 2006, which I think was a rock band.
The rock band was actually 86 that I started forming it. And it went through a couple incarnations before it became a band called Problem Child. And it was original material, and we toured all over the West and had a modicum of success, but just couldn't get that elusive record deal. And
but it's the classic rock and roll story, isn't it? You dropped out of college after one semester to...
It's exactly it. I got out of high school. I didn't want to do music. I wanted to get into business, and I did. I started college, but then I started sitting in, and the more I sat in, the more I loved it, and the more I loved it, and dropped out. And you know what? You're young once, and rock and roll is a young man's game, I think. And I went after it as hard as I could. And I think we hit a really good stride about the time that grunge happened, and I think grunge killed rock and roll. I'm sorry that's my opinion. I'm not a fan. It's depressing music. It's downtrodden. It's being rained on all the time. And that just wasn't me. And it was time to get out and refocus.
I can see where you're coming from, because it was a completely different change in music there. And then obviously that's when you put this band together in 2006. So seeing life through your dad's eyes as a kid, then yourself in music in the 80s with the rock band, having that break in the middle and going into a different career, as you said, raising the kids, having a family life, back on the road. What's the highlights these days? Is it just being back in front of people in New Orleans?
What drives me is being on stage in front of a different crowd every night. I love the road. I'm one of those rare individuals. And the reason why I kind of stopped music for a while is I didn't want to travel while my kids were young. I wanted to make sure that they had a foundation to build themselves upon. Wait till they were old enough to know that I was going to be on the road, because I love the road. I'm one of these guys that will tour forever. I don't need a home base. I don't need a home spot. I love the road. It's not a fun place to be. I'm telling you, it's not glamorous. People think you're, oh, look, you're in a different city every day and you pop on the stage for an hour and a half and do this and all's good. And, it's hard work. It's grueling. It's tireless. You get no sleep. You don't eat good. I completely love it. And it just kind of drives me getting up on stage every night. I don't care how tired I am. When the lights come on and I see that crowd, it's a challenge to me. It's can I make every person in here smile? Can I take the person having the worst day possible that didn't want to come here? Can I make them walk away and go, well, that was fun, you know? And I mean, that's my highlight. I mean, I love creating music. I love making music. I love the writing process, the recording process, the creation, the camaraderie, the practice, the difficult, the striving, everything that goes into what we do. But hitting that stage in a different town every night, that's what I want to do forever.
Because I've just got literally, while we've been talking and listening, I've just pulled up your tour dates. You are literally on the road from, well, yeah, you just don't stop.
Yeah, we try not to. We take little clips. Look, we come from everywhere. I mean, I just moved back to New Orleans in the middle of the pandemic from Las Vegas, and I've got people from New York to LA. There's 11 of us, 12 of us usually on the road that are from 12 different cities. So we take breaks. People have families, so we like to do a couple weeks on, a couple weeks off, 3 weeks on, 1 week off. But it's a grind, and it's bringing the music to people. It's tough to discover new acts or discover somebody you're going to like. Radio isn't really in play anymore. Most of what you get's off a streaming service, and those things are so targeted. It's tough to find and branch out. So we make our bread just going time after time after time until somebody brings two friends, and they bring two friends, and they bring two friends. And like I said, I'm a road dog, and I love it.
No, it does sound like it. And I say, you bring that charisma to it. What do you think your dad would say if he was with us still? And if he was to come up, do you think he'd be on stage with you?
I always said that if my father was alive today making music, he'd be doing a rap song. My father loved the new music. I wish I could release some of the film footage that I have of him on shows, but you post something and, Mike Douglas's family comes in and shuts it down. And he was always talking about the popular acts up until he was talking about, this was in the 70s, he was talking about Average White Band and things like that, and covering some of their, more popular songs. But I think he would change with the time. And I think he, like I do, I enjoy my collection is, Mozart to Motorhead. It's everything in between. And he was like that. I think he really just enjoyed music and the creation of music that other people had, and enjoyed the creativity in people to where he would enjoy it. And I think he would love what we do. I think he would view it as steps forward. We're not playing it like people expect. We're loud, we're brash, we're energetic. It's probably a little bit over the top in a lot of cases, but I think he would appreciate it and love it. I was fortunate enough that my mom got a chance to see this band, when we got over all the little personal humps that you get to hit that stride where you're like, all right, we got a stride, let's go. She got to see it then and was giddy. And I think my father would be too.
And that sort of drives you on to make more music and just be as energetic as possible and be the man you are.
It is. We enjoy the creative process. I think everybody in my band got into music to create. I don't think we are cover band people or anything like that. And we enjoy the creative process, and we enjoy writing. And I have found a partnership that I can't even explain. We had recorded Return to the Wildest ourselves at a dear friend of mine's studio in Las Vegas called Tone Factory. And we were, okay, how do we get this released? And we struck a friendship with Jim Urban from Warrior Records. And, they're distributed by Universal Music Distribution. It's an actual record label. And I think in my end of the music world, the one thing you strive for is a record label to believe in you, record your music, and put you out. Not I'm doing it myself in the garage and disc makers and, things like that. It's having somebody believe in you enough to put the power of their business behind you. And 45 years old, it happened to me. That's why you never give up, people. Take a lesson, kids.
Keep going.
Well, and we have a brilliant relationship with him. And number one, he's a genius in the studio as a producer. Me and him co-produce everything we've done. We just got done recording our third album, recorded it at Capitol Records, where my father recorded. That's where Blow.
You like to record in Capitol because that must be
It's so surreal. We met them during my part of my management team kind of conned our way to the head of the line during the 50th anniversary of the Hollywood Walk of Fame star ceremony when we got my father's star. And it's the first time they opened Capitol Records to the public, and you couldn't get near the building. And he weaseled our way in, and they're using Louis Prima Sing, Sing, Sing to demonstrate the echo chambers, and got the whole studio set up with big giant Louis Prima cutouts. And we struck a friendship with them that turned into a friendship with Jim Irvin and them. And we've recorded there twice, and you walk in those walls and I'm telling you, it's magic. I can't even explain it.
On your songs, you can tell that you don't individually track. You are a band when you're recording.
We are a band when we record. There are certain things that track. We do it a little bit different, but the entire band is playing almost from start to finish. And I think that gives it a better feel than tracking. I don't like the way they do music right now. It's like play the drum beat until you get one measure perfect and then go paste, paste, paste. We can't do that.
That's what I think brings to life the music that you do. And that's why it's such a joy. I have a 4-year-old who sits in the car and we listen to it and she sings away. 4 years old.
That's awesome.
So there is a magic to that music.
Well, there is, and there's a magic to recording the way we record. And Jim, we talk about it. We recorded this third album right as the pandemic started, so it's been sitting on the shelf, and we're 50% done mixing it and getting it mastered. And you have to live by the rules of Universal Music in order to put it out. You have to have tour support. So we've all just been waiting for the world to get back to normal, but there's something special about the way we record and what Jim does in the studio. He's able to capture all these little nuanced mistakes and us chatting in the background and things, and it gets infused into the music here and there to where it just, people are like, you sound like you're having so much fun. And it's like, look, yes, we are having a blast, even in the studio. And, yes, it's business and you're spending somebody else's money and you got to get that job done. But it's the music's fun, man. You got to have fun doing it. And I'm so thankful that we're able to get a little bit of that across on a studio album. I think people forgot how to do it. People forget my father hung 2 mics in the room. Yeah. There's recordings from the 30s. It always makes me laugh. My dad, the most of the songs on my dad's first couple of albums were, he tried to feature everybody doing a quick solo in almost every song. And you could literally hear the guitar player run up to the microphone and like trying to hold the guitar up as close as he could to the mic so you could pick up what was going on. And there's a magic to recording that way. It's because you could not playing off each other gives it life in itself. If you're just playing by yourself.
One of the things I was talking about when I was telling people I was going to be interviewing and talking to yourself is something that sprung to mind was the Wrecking Crew. What you bring to your recordings is what the Wrecking Crew would bring to a recording for their artists.
Wow, that's an amazing statement to be included in. Wow, I think, I guess maybe it is, because, and, it's funny. My mom got to record with some of them. My mom's first album, Glenn Campbell played on back when he was in the Wrecking Crew. And it's, when you hear stories of what went on back there with those bunch of people that rotated in and out of there and did that thing, I guess we are a little bit of that because we are, we're not 10 people that grew up together. We haven't been playing since kindergarten together. We are, like-minded people that found each other, And I'm telling you, everybody is so super talented, and their input, not just musically, but the thought process and the writing process and the recording process, their input is priceless. And yeah, I guess that's what the Wrecking Crew added to everything that they were a part of. And that, maybe that is a little bit of the magic that we're able to capture when we're doing this.
Well, you certainly do capture it. And I've got to be honest, I can't wait for the next album to come out. I can't wait for you to come to the UK. I want to speak to you again. I promise we will at some point, especially when there's lots more stories to tell, I know.
There's tons more, and I'd be happy to speak to you again, especially when the new album comes out. It's hopefully soon, and we're working hard. We had just started breaking into Europe and things. We've only done a few things over there, and we were working on a month-long thing when the pandemic hit, and we're trying to get that back into gear again. It's not an easy task to get, 12 people on the road overseas, but we're working hard. I know we were looking at October. I can't make any promises. Jim is working from Warriors, working hard to get us over there. And I promise we will, because when we've played there, we did the Sicily Jazz Festival in Wales, and they blew the place apart. And we've done a couple things here and there. And I know that there's a desire for it. It's just a matter of getting over there. And God, please, cross fingers, do what you can, help us out and get over there. And let's get this album out, man. It's an interesting bunch of things. And I told you there's a little surprise on there that may or may not include Pennies from Heaven and My Father.
Ooh. I won't say anything. We'll keep that one quiet. Do you my final question, because obviously we are running out of time here. I could go on for hours with yourself, but do you feel like being back in New Orleans is sort of where you need to be to sort of get you going again for this next 12 months, recharging your batteries?
I'll say it as quick as I can. I never, just tired of Vegas is what I was. I've been trying to get back here for a long time. And there's a lot of reasons why it didn't happen. And I don't know why I moved in the middle of the pandemic, but it saved my soul. Coming down here and just seeing the effort while the entire world was preventing my entire industry from making a living and preventing my entire industry from providing people with an escape that we all desperately needed. I came down here to New Orleans, and every venue stuck speakers outside and was letting bands play outside. You can't play indoors, we'll play outside and hope it doesn't rain. And the love and respect that this town has for music, and like it's food, music is really embedded in everybody's soul. There are friends of mine in bands that play almost every night to huge crowds. And you'd think people would get played out. You go to another city and you play too much and you're never going to play again because people stop coming to see you. No, everybody in this town supports it, loves it. It's part of your culture. It's part of your weekly planning. You plan dinners and where are we going to party tonight? Who are we going to see tonight? And it saved my soul. It just kind of allowed me to decompress the gravity of the situation that we were in, and gave me hope that coming out of it, we're all going to be a little bit stronger, and we're all going to realize around this entire planet what was taken from us, and we're going to appreciate it a little bit more, and we're going to love it a little bit more, and we're going to support the arts a little bit more than we used to. And I love it here, man. I love it.
Well, everyone can find you on your website on LouisPrimaJr.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spot, absolutely everywhere. I encourage everyone to go and have a look because some of the videos you've got up are amazing.
Thank you.
I absolutely love it. Your photos, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. It really has. And I say, I can't wait to speak to you again. It's been my pleasure, and we'll definitely talk again. As you can tell, I like to,
I got a
I
lot
could
to
do a
say.
whole 2 hours with you, Louis.
We could. But it's Louis Prima Jr. LouisPrimajr.com. That'll direct you to everywhere, the social media and stuff. Give us a follow, give us a like, track our calendar. There's a little red button at the top of the calendar on the website. Hit that button and we'll send you notifications when we're coming to your area. And you know what? If you get a chance to come see us live, please take it. Take that chance. It's the greatest show on earth, I'm telling you.
Well, I'll be there when you come over to the UK straight away. I don't care where it is. I will travel to be there. And seeing as though we spoke about your love for New Orleans, I thought it was only fair to go out on your track in New Orleans.
Works for me, man. I love y'all. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Louis.